A very warm greetings, everyone. We welcome you to the special lecture on the Independence Day. Independence Day, a reflection on India's environment. I, Pooja Sharma, along with my co-presenter Manisha Sharma, invite you to this special lecture on Independence Day. Now, this lecture is organized in a sense of achieving certain objectives. Here, we introduce you to the concept of climate change while talking about on the eve reflecting our independence and where we started and where we have reached. To comprehend the linkages between ecology, environment and health. To understand factors responsible for the pollution. To update the status of air pollution, water pollution, solid waste pollution, marine pollution and soil pollution, comprehend and introspect the learnings and the mistakes we have done throughout the journey, and finally present a model, a framework that will give a fundamental solution to all the challenges related to environment. On the eve of independence, we pay our tribute to all the freedom fighters who dedicated their lives so that we live and breathe in free India. We dreamt of an India whose foundation is built on mutual respect and empathy, an India that is home to the peaceful coexistence of all. The policies and the legal framework and the regime that we visualize are based on the values and the ethics and humanity more than the caste, creed or religion. Finally, an India that is much as yours as is mine, not only you and me as humans, that it also belongs to the whole of the ecosystem around us. After 75 years of independence, India still needs freedom from air pollution, water pollution, plastic pollution, and simply speaking, we need freedom from environmental pollution altogether. Forest, wildfire, and environment-related laws and the policies, we still have miles to go. We can hope that India would be able to balance its development needs with a sustainable aspects, taking care of sustainable aspects of ecological foundations. In recently released Environmental Performance Index in 2022, India is ranked as 168th in EPI 2020 and the score is 27.6. The Environmental Performance Index is an international ranking system that measures the environment, health and sustainability of countries. During the last few decades, India has experienced unprecedented urban expansion and economic growth and this has, however, it has come to a stage where the huge environmental calamities have happened and degradation has happened, and it has come with a cost. There are many environmental issues in India like air pollution, water pollution, solid waste management that pose the major challenges in India. Now, if we look at the climate change scenario in all the world is already facing the biggest global challenge of climate change. There are chances that annual average global temperature increases to 1.5 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial levels and within the 5 years of time period. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, warned that in 2019 that roughly 500 million people will be living in the areas that are going to experience desertification. When the land is degraded, it becomes less productive, restricting what we can grow on it and reducing the soil's ability to absorb carbon. And this exacerbates the climate change and challenge, and then extreme weather conditions will embark, and like heat waves, dust storms, and climate change will turn into a calamity and disaster, and as well as the biggest challenge. We've been watching and we've been witnessing Since 2022, a series of disasters. In June 2022, world witnessed several unexpected environmental developments, disasters including heavy rains, floods in Bosnia, Herzegovina, Pakistan and China, deadly landslides in Bangladesh and India, and wildfires in Afghanistan, Turkey, as well as extreme heats in US and Spain. Dust storms in Iraq. Also, Hurricane Agatha also slammed in Mexico, and wildfire in Afghanistan has been a major calamity. At least 106 people have been killed due to landslides. Cities are the major concern, and they are becoming an important aspect of development. Cities across the globe are the growth of cities has been projected to grow by around 50% by 2050. They are engines of growth and innovation generating. At the same time, 80% of the world's GDP is being contributed by cities, and along with 70% of global carbons. So the growth comes with carbon emissions. In recent years, as the epicenter of growth, cities have been struggling to respond to COVID-19 pandemic, and their preparedness, a lot of funds have been spent on the preparedness of health disasters. By 2050, 800 million people in 570 coastal cities could see a sea level rise recently, and that is the alarming situation. Global warming may leave more than 1.6 billion urban areas facing an average calamity or average summertime temperature of about 35 degrees centigrade. Despite of growing challenge of cities have also been the front line of the climate movement. More recently, more than 1,000 cities announced that they are going to reduce the carbon emissions by 2050. As a consequence, human activity, we have seen that it has resulted into a lot of health disasters, natural disasters, and it has affected the balance of environment, ecology, and human. And this effect is sometimes it is long run and sometimes it is short run. The emissions of GHGs, greenhouse gases, it has increased the temperature and precipitation. And you would see the connection between the rise in both temperature and precipitation, which has led to soil erosion. Soil erosion reduces the moisture content and the storage capacity and affects the crop production. There is enough evidence that to prove that the humans to live on earth, life should be effectively based on systematic alliance between each ecology component. In the history of pandemics, there have been deadliest pandemics we have seen over the period of time. Now the chart on the screen, it shows the linkages between human activities and climate change and health disasters. Every production and consumption activity of humans have resulted into increase in GHGs, greenhouse gases, at the same time resulted into health and natural disasters. It has affected the relationship between ecology, environment and humans. Increase in GHGs have resulted into high rise, change in the temperature, precipitation, sea level rise, and finally leading to climate change. Similarly, the soil erosion and other activities have changed the life cycle of bacteria and led to a lot of diseases which we face as a form of pandemic. The Black Death is believed to be the birth giver of quarantine. Black Death was witnessed in Europe in 1347, which claimed to have taken a toll of millions of people, 400 million people. London outbreak of plague was also witnessed in 1665. It's not that we have not been witnessing pandemics and epidemics over the period. The smallpox was again a very devastating outbreak, and later on H1N1 virus as well as Spanish flu came across, and which affected the whole world. Recently, a decade ago, the world faced another swine flu, which was another variant of H1N1 virus. It is also observed that pandemic have resulted into disruption of production and consumption and also socio-economic implications. It is critical to observe the positive impact and improvement of environment which can be resulted through the change in the human activity. Now, there are various factors which are responsible for environmental quality in terms of water, air, land, etc. So one of the most important factor is population growth. There is an excessive growth of population accompanied by unplanned urbanization over the past years, 5 decades, let us say. Vehicular emissions, the rapid urbanization has resulted into increase in urban transport. And see number of vehicles, variety of vehicles like taxis, autos, trains, buses have barged in. Approximately, as you see Delhi, 17% of the cars in India are run in Delhi itself. And the number even more than the total of the cars which are belonging to the states of Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and West Bengal. Now, urbanization, looking at urbanization, the last 2 decades, India has urbanized and at an unprecedented manner. While existing cities are growing, the country is under building new cities more and more. The environmental pollution caused by urbanization is mainly due to effect of increase in the urban land use, of the excessive concentration of the population, as well as migration, not to discard the impact of migration towards the cities from the rural areas. Destruction of environment through economic growth is mainly due to excessive consumption of energy, which has a direct implication. There's a stress on natural resources. The fast growth has led to huge stress on natural resources, specifically water, energy. For example, intensive breeding of livestock and poultry leads to deforestation, land degradation and contamination of water resources and natural resources. Another impact of urbanization and growth, economic growth, is increased mining. Despite of advancement in the renewable energy, India is still largely dependent on thermal power plants for the needs of increasing demand of energy, resulting in the rise of coal mining. Massive need for construction of materials as well it has led to disappearance of many hills and due to quarrying and other mining activities. The extraction of minerals from the nature often creates imbalance which adversely affect the environment. The key environment impact of mining are the wildfire, results in the environmental impact are in the form of wildlife and fishery effect on that, and the water imbalance, the local environment or the climate is also affected, depletion of forests and disruption of the ecology altogether. Then we have fires. Fires are adverse events with tangible costs and property and human life. Then the studies have also pointed out that 90% of fires in India are man-made. Either they are used for burning down the forests or it would have been done by stubble burning of crop fires. Another issue is of solid waste management. Rapid urbanization and solid waste management issues in the country have also led to fires in the solid waste disposal sites across the country. Agrochemicals have been used. Inorganic fertilizers and pesticides have increased the manifold and it has resulted into enhancing. This is mainly because of enhancing the crop production. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, etc. have been increasingly in use and these incidentally have led into a toxic and non-target organisms which are important component of the soil ecosystem. Industrial growth. Now, industrial sector has grown at a unprecedented scale. Economic boom has led to investments in construction, mining, iron and steel. The process of brick making for construction, the industry resulted into construction iron and steel plants which engage excessively polluting methods. Emissions from such industry are responsible for pollution today. These emissions can be clubbed into two types, SPM solid particles and gaseous emissions like SO2, NO2, carbon monoxide, etc. A number of plants of thermal power plants and iron and steel plants, cement plants, as well as fertilizer plants, they all are such industries which are related and also related to oil refineries. They are all such industries which are emitting excessively. Steel plants, cement and fertilizer plants, various industries, they are related to oil refineries and petrochemical industries. This leads to emissions of large amount of SPMs, that is suspended particulate matter, like methane CH4 and carbon monoxide CO, nitrogen dioxide NO2 and sulfur dioxide SO2, which lead to various health disasters or issues like respiratory diseases, skin and eye diseases. Now there is another issue from the agriculture side, agriculture waste burning. Intensive agriculture processes that have been deployed are also immensely responsible for the accumulation of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, like methane, nitrous oxide, further increasing or contributing to the climate change. Emissions from agriculture are approximately around 28% of total national emissions. Apart from all this, there is another component of indoor air pollution. Indoor air pollution is mainly caused by the method of cooking, like using fuels and most of the other elements like in the form of coal and kerosene, which lead to a lot of emissions within the household structure or indoors. Now, apart from all this, then if you try to observe the population growth rate in India, it's very evident from the chart here that over the period of time the population has grown, and the rate at which it has grown, though it has been decreasing over the period of time, but the absolute amount has also always been increasing. Looking at the decennial growth of population, you could look at the graphs where the various cities have been plotted here, and the rate at which the population has been growing has been depicted here on the chart itself. So the rate at which all the cities are growing at their individual rates, and there is no uniformity. The way they have been placed, it's reflected very well on the graphs. Then again, vehicular growth rate. It is a very important part or very important aspect of pollution in an environment, contributing to the environmental status of a state and finally to India. So looking at Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata and Mumbai, the rate at which the vehicles have been growing in these cities have been plotted here, and you can see the pattern of growth. So the rate at which the vehicles have been added in Delhi, if you compare, it is lower rate. This is mainly because Delhi is already sustaining a huge number of population or number of the cars already in terms of traffic and transport. So there is lesser scope of increase of vehicular growth of vehicles in Delhi, while other cities are witnessing a higher rate of growth of vehicles. it's evident from the data that the rates of vehicular growth in Delhi is much lesser than the other cities. Growth rate of gross value added, though it is fluctuating, one can witness differences in the growth of value added, that reflects economic growth of the different cities, and the pattern is fluctuating, though it is moving towards higher side. Temperatures, if you see that all the cities are placed at a different temperature wise, and because of their locations, so Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai and Chennai, they are placed in a different manner as far as the temperature is concerned. Monthly and annual temperature, humidity is concerned, you can see the difference, the levels at which the humidity have been observed, humidity, temperature and precipitation have been observed over the period of time, and the way they have been fluctuating, and the way they have maintained their sustenance. So the graphs really depict the true picture of these cities and related to the parameters of environment like temperature, humidity and vehicular emissions. Emissions we'll talk about later, the number of vehicles and urbanization, which is more of to do with the economic growth, and they are very reflective of the situation we are placed in. So we will come back to this particular lecture again after a short break. Thank you so much.